It's a big one.
It is a huge one.
It's going to be a long.
I feel like the entirety of this the 6 episodes have been leading up to this one episode, and then we should never do an episode again. That's the weight I'm putting on this episode.
We'll see.
Anyway, we'll see. All right, let's kick it off with a big size 11 boot.
Hiya. How you doing?
Hiya.
You're right.
I'm good, man. I've woken up after last week's episode where I had the energy of a small pebble.
You weren't running on those Duracell batteries. You were on some cheap knockoff brand.
Yeah. You know when you eat loads and loads of bread, like a whole loaf of bread, and you just feel more stodged than human. That's just what basically instead of a brain, I had a loaf of Hovis. Episode 7, baby.
We're there. It's a big
one.
We're
there. It's all happened. What are we doing today, Mark? What's on today's episode?
On today's show, the news. And then, to be honest with you, we're going to skip most of the pleasantries this week so we can get onto the main meat of the podcast, which is the Xbox Series X Games Showcase.
Who needs to be pleasant? We're just going to be up in your grill, offensive, and here with an attitude.
Absolutely right. That means sorry if you mailed in.
Yeah.
Sorry if you've got a top 10.
Yeah.
We just haven't got time this week. There's too much sweet news and Xbox gaming stuff. Juice to get through.
Let's squeeze out the green juice. Let's get into it. Let's get onto the news. How's it spelled? News. News. Oh, horrible. First up on the news doc, Mark, we've got some more tidbits about. This is becoming a Rogue Legacy 2 podcast, isn't it?
No, the reason I wouldn't normally dedicate so much news to one game, but the problem is that I kept feeding out little bits that kept coming out, and I feel like if I don't follow up, I'm not doing you, the listener, justice to give you the update on it. So
yeah.
I know Rogue Legacy 2 is not the biggest game in the world. Not everyone's excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, but for some reason, it's just become a big thing. Anyway, we'll crack through.
I really hope there's at least one listener that cares about Rogue Legacy at this point.
I think it's just me. Anyway, we'll crack on just through this one piece of news very quickly.
Okay.
The release date, unfortunately, has been delayed to the 18th of August due to, I quote, unforeseen hiccups in development. And they say, while stabilizing the game for launch, we've run into some minor setbacks, but more importantly, some features got so close to completion that we just absolutely had to see them through. This means more content, more stability, and more bang for your buck come launch day. So fair enough, it's a classic thing of a mixture of bugs, but also it might as well be as good as it can be when we release.
I would much rather have a good, full, complete game on launch day than have to wait a week for a patch or whatever it may be. You know, if the slight delay is going to make the game better. Who makes Rogue Legacy? Do you know off the top of your head?
Cellar Door Games. If you want some of their back catalogue, they made a game called I Have One Day, Villainous, Don't Shit Your Pants, my first...
You're making these up, right?
No. My First Quantum Translocator, Bullet Odyssey, Band of Bears, Full Metal Furies. There's loads of weird games. Loads of just weird.
So Rogue Legacy seems to be their best or biggest game to date.
Big time.
Big game. Okay, brill. So that's going to be coming, currently August 18th, which isn't actually that far away.
It's not too far away. The game would be out by now if it weren't for that, but it's fine.
Okay. Fair dues. Next up, Square Enix wants to know more about how people played Final Fantasy VII Remake with 2 surveys that you can take part in on the Final Fantasy Portal app on mobile devices. Square apparently wants to know your dialogue choices, the outfits your character was wearing during the Don Corneo's Bride audition, your favourite materia, and favourite abilities for each other.
I'm not sure why they want to know this. But yeah, favourite abilities for each character, favourite materia. I don't really know. I don't know whether it's something leading up to episode 2 and they want to refine some aspects of it.
I mean, I assume that's all part of it, and it's nice that they're kind of reaching out to the community that played it, if that's going to help them build the next part in it. I mean, it's one of those kind of double-edged swords where it's really nice that they are reaching out to the community, but also you kind of want to have a bit of faith in them to make a good game without the community's feedback. It's still a game that I wish I could have played. Maybe one day I will be able to play it.
Hot, fresh, off the press, happening as we're talking right now. Cuphead is coming to PlayStation 4 today, and today is the 28th of July. So if you're a PS4 owner that's been like in the look of Cuphead but not been able to play it, don't worry. Xbox are losing more of their IPs and dropping them off at the other pools. So if you want to play Cuphead on PC, Xbox, Switch, or PlayStation 4, you can do, because it's come to PS4 today, the 28th. The last bit of news is BioWare has confirmed that they're doing a new Dragon Age game that is currently in development. Mark Dara, or at Bio Mark Dara on Twitter, says, I realise that most of you are here for Dragon Age news, and there hasn't been a lot of it lately. Let me just run down some of those things I can say. Number one, we are working on the next Dragon Age. Good, thanks for clearing that up. Number two, yes, we are working from home. Number three, working from home is harder. Okay. And number four, we are making progress. So it's pretty thin. To be honest,
that is thin. Their updates are basically, yes, we're still working on it, and it's hard.
Yeah, all those 4 points just sort of say the same thing, really.
Yes,
we're having a hard time. We're making Dragon Age. I wasn't a fan of Dragon Age. Apparently, the story is fairly well written, and they did a good job. So good for them. I always thought the gameplay was weirdly stunted, and the characters felt very stunted.
I had the same experience. Going from Mass Effect to that, and I was had high hopes for it, and also Dragon Age Inquisition had a lot of people telling me I should play it. I did give it a good go because I think it was free for a little while, and I gave it a crack. Yeah, it didn't really click with me. Sadly, I would love it of two. I would love I wish I'd liked it, but I just didn't work out.
Yeah, same. So if you do like Dragon Age, don't fret.
Indeed. And just another quick news thing, Mark. Apparently a lot of people have kind of had some behind closed doors demo playthroughs of the new Crash game, Crash 4, and there's been some very positive feedback about it. People are really liking it.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
For all our Crash fans, that and I know we've covered Crash in the past, it seems to be going down very, very nicely and does feel like a true Crash 4. So obviously there's still the issue with the redesign that you weren't too happy about, but I
wasn't keen. But I mean,
there's jazzed.
It's gotten pretty fiery on Twitter with people saying, "Get over it." But like, I mean, if no one had an opinion, then there'd be no discussion to have. So like,
true.
It's good to have discussion and polite disagreement.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks okay. The thing is that if again, I mean, you said this yourself. If the gameplay is good, do you think it matters? And I said, hey, if the gameplay is good, maybe not. And everyone seems to be enjoying it. So cool. Let's find out. I wait with bated breath.
So we've moved on to the main course. Here it is. The Xbox Series X. Well, no, it wasn't the Xbox Series X. It was the Xbox Studios Game Showcase. Firstly, what are your overall thoughts? How was it? Open the floodgates.
Let's start with you.
Start with me.
I mean, just because I think it's kind of your baby. It's the one you've been really looking forward to. Leading up to the PlayStation 5 showcase, the only text I saw from you is, are you watching it?
Yeah.
Whereas leading up to this, there was a load of things saying, come on boys, get the beers in, it's Xbox time. So you're clearly up for this.
You could tell there's
there's a lot of lead up.
Yeah.
So
I'm somewhat biased towards one of them, and I think it's more that I had a lot of expectations and the fear of being let down and all that kind of thing. Okay, well, what I would say the first thing that is now eminently clear is from everything that they are saying in their marketing and everything they said during that, they are really running a different kind of race. And whether or not they've done that totally by choice, or they are doing it because they think it's the best thing to do, I don't know, or they've just backed themselves into this corner. Their kind of main selling point is the user experience, and the fact that every game in that showcase will be coming to Game Pass day one when it's out. That is, you know, something that they really, really want to drive home. So that makes it quite difficult to really fully compare it to the PlayStation 1. I would say that the PlayStation 1 was better for a good few reasons, but Xbox did some really, really good stuff in this showcase. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of new IP that they showed off. I think something that PlayStation did well was kind of show old IP or new games in series and that coming out, or remakes of things like not Dark Souls. What's the game? What is it? Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
Things like that. But I do think Xbox did really well showing off some new IP. I got a few announcements that I was quite excited about. I would have liked some more gameplay. I would have liked some more examples of them showing off the, quote, most powerful console of all time. I think we didn't really get a sense of that. So I think I was let down somewhat by that, quite considerably. Yeah, they needed to show more gameplay. I didn't really get why they didn't do that, considering they've already, you know, their console's meant to be coming out in November. That baffled me slightly. I was let down, and there were a good few games that I wanted to see more of, but didn't see anything from. But there were a lot of games in there that I am excited about. We'll probably talk more in depth about the games, individual games, as we're kind of going through it piece by piece. But I would probably give the overall show something like a B- if I were to score it in academic terms.
Oh, okay. So what does that make the Sony one?
So probably like a B+. I'd say Sony. I don't think either of them were excellent. I would say Sony had like better games to show off, but no huge, like the only huge like wow announcement from that was maybe Demon Souls. I would say for me, a lot of the games that they showed off, I was just like, I don't really care about this. Like that fucking one where you're a cat and shit like that. But they did have some titles that were obviously really exciting for a lot of people, like Horizon. And obviously, yeah, the Miles Morales one did get me excited. But there weren't many things that, and the same with Xbox, that made me think, I'm going to need to get a PlayStation for that. But I'm sure those announcements will come further down the line. So yeah, so I'd say that as a whole, the Sony conference probably was a better conference as a whole. But there were some good things in this one, but I probably just didn't get out of it exactly what I wanted, I would say. So, how about you?
I think in terms of an edited piece,
yeah,
it was very well done, and it was actually exactly how you predicted it would be in terms of world premiere.
Yeah.
You even did that voice, and they literally had the Halo guy doing that voice. So
that's their thing.
You smashed that out the park. Like, in terms of a thing that they put together, it was completely fine. Oh dear. I think basically what we've ended up with is the worst case scenario. And by that, I mean, it wasn't a disaster.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So what we've got now is this thing in the middle of, am I staying with Xbox?
Yeah.
Do I want an Xbox? Which is just the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I think we either needed it to be bloody awful
Yeah.
to the point where it was like, well, I'm clearly not buying an Xbox. They're out.
Yeah.
See you, Microsoft. Or just like really like, look at this IP, look at this IP, look how good Halo looks, look how good this looks. And we would have been like, oh, we've got a fight on. It's a competition.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
No. But I like I said, I wonder how much is that Xbox don't want a fight, or is it more that they can't fight? I don't know what the answer to that question is. I think a lot of it is, they probably don't have the games to be like, well, you like them, well, look what we've got. Like, they just don't have that, which for me still is the biggest problem. But I do think I'm stepping on your ground here, but I do think they had some, which we'll get onto, some games that I do think people will look over from the PS5 side and think, I do want to play that. But yeah, carry on.
Well, I basically think it's a mixed bag and that it wasn't very good. I think a lot of their announcements were incredibly antiquated. A lot of them are already available on other platforms, so they're not actually exclusives. I'm pretty sure the majority of stuff we saw for PS5 were exclusive, with like potential for some of them going to PC, which is a classic thing that happens. So Horizon Forbidden West, who knows if that will come to PC in a year or 5 years, who knows? And the same thing with Hitman might come. Resident Evil Village is probably available everywhere.
Both of them will definitely be cross-platform, and I think the one made by the
Godfall as well.
Godfall will come cross-platform as well.
Whereas everything else appears to be PS5, and I feel like with their showcase, we at least knew when we were going down the list where these games were available and which ones were available only on PS5. So you got a sense of like, there's a real sense of ownership and kind of you're watching the PS5 event. This is our stuff. Whereas in this event, it was kind of like, don't mention that this is already out on Steam, or don't mention this game came out 5 years ago. There's a lot of that going on. So a few of the announcements were just absolute filler. Again, we're going to go through this point by point, but there was like Destiny 2 stuff. Like if you were going to play Destiny 2, you've already tried it and you know whether you want to play it or like it. Ori Will of the Wisps, if you want to play it at 120 FPS 4K, have a PC, you can already do that. Why are they... It's an old game, more stuff for Outer Worlds. So there's a lot of filler of old stuff that's already out. And like, yes, it's nice to see updated things and things coming forward and that they're playable on the system. But what I'm seeing, if I'm doing a comparison, is PS5 saying, this is all new stuff. The majority of this is all PS5 stuff. There you go. And with this, I'm seeing, here's some stuff we're bringing forward. Fill up the time. And then a couple of surprises, which we'll get onto, which actually are very positive. The thing that I always thought about this showcase is the fact that if they're going to go toe-to-toe with PS5 on games, unless they did have, which they didn't, loads of new IPs that look really strong, a really strong Halo game coming out, which they don't, we'll talk about that, then they will lose. And that's what they did. Xbox's strongest thing is their services. I've said this in the past, they're very consistent. Their strongest thing is their online services, their package deal with their gold and premium services and all that sort of thing, and the streaming stuff that's coming forward. It's always been their strongest thing. But instead, they just decided it's the game showcase and we're gonna try and box with Sony, and it's failed, in my opinion.
But I think that's where I potentially disagree, in that I think the point of this was to be like, we've got every game you see here, you will get as part of your subscription. And I think that for me was one of their main things that they were saying, that like day one when this game comes out, you'll get it as part of your subscription, which I think is pretty great.
I think I agree with that. That's incredible.
Yeah. So and I think a lot of their publicity coming up to this has been saying, listen, we don't really see a console. I think it's hard because I think a lot of it is convenient that they're saying this, whereas people can say they're just saying that because
massively.
they're losing. But they're saying that their main rivals are like Amazon and Google because of streaming software and that kind of thing, and they just want to provide a service. That's what.
Well, they're saying that because they can beat them, because Google Stadia is trash.
Well, exactly. And
Amazon are very new and therefore haven't really got a place in which to stand. So they can easily say, well, we're going against these two guys because we can batter them.
Yeah.
So I disagree that's the point.
No, but that is what Phil Spencer is saying. Necessarily, if it's right to say that, I don't know. I'm just saying what he's saying. I do.
The other thing, well, I was going to say the other problem that I forgot to mention was the fact that a lot of these games are actually, I don't know what you'd call it, but they're actually cross-gen. So again, it's.
But that's. I hate to keep bringing up the PS5 thing. That's a selling point for them as well, though.
Right, I think it's bollocks.
Okay. So but as in, like, whether you think it's right or wrong, a lot of what they're saying is you can.
You said this yourself, Bellum, in a previous podcast. If you're going to make a game for your new console. Make a game for your console that's new. You said it for Miles Morales, and we totally agree.
Yeah,
we didn't want to see some weird antiquated thing that was like, is this previous gen? And basically a lot of these games are just like this weird in between thing, and I don't really know why they're doing that. They really should have the strength to say like, no, we're building this for next gen, and if you want to play it, you get yourself a PC or an Xbox that can play it.
So that is literally the opposite of what they're trying to say there. They're thinking. Again, I don't think this is right. I just know what they're saying very well because I've been watching a lot of it. Like they're all about the consumer, and they're putting the consumer first and saying, okay, you can't afford to get an Xbox Series X. We're going to let you play it on an Xbox One. You can also play it on a PC. We're going to let you play these games wherever you want to play them. That is very much at the forefront of their thinking. I don't necessarily think it's right, but what they're doing is they're saying, we don't believe in exclusives anymore. We don't believe that you have to get the next gen console to be able to play the game. So that's literally what they said. So like,
because they can't compete. I think the biggest, if they were really thinking about the consumer and they don't care about exclusives anymore, what they would do is they would put all their money into just developing games and IPs for PlayStation 5 and PC. And
which is what I think. There was rumors of them doing that for quite a while. The main issue that they've given themselves is who now wants to get an Xbox Series X. I think the thing that I've taken away from this showcase is, cool, there's a lot of games I'm really interested in. Has it made me want to get an Xbox Series X? No. But there's a lot of games that I really like the look of. So that they've backed themselves in this quite weird corner where, it's really consumer forward and consumer thinking in terms of like, you don't have to get an Xbox Series X. You can have this game. You can have part of this amazing subscription package where you'll get all of these games for way less money than you would if you bought them individually. That is all absolutely amazing to me. And I say thumbs up to that. I think they're better than PS5 in that sense. However, as a console, I have no need to get an Xbox Series X other than if I wanted to play something at super high fidelity, high resolution, high frame rate, quicker loading times. If I would do that, but it's not something I care about as much, to be honest. So I'm not going to get an Xbox Series X for a long while, probably until it's cheaper and
But you are right. They are in a weird place in the middle where it's like it wasn't shocking, but it wasn't good enough to make you think, oh, blimey.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay. How am I going to fit this into my budget? I want a Series X, man. Not at all. I mean, I'm in that weird PC place where it's like, do I even need or want a console? I could have been convinced to get either one of these, depending on their showcase. And I'm in the same position I was before it came out, where I've got plenty of stuff to play. I'm all right. I don't really want or need either.
Yeah.
But the draw for PlayStation 5 for me is always, it's the same draw for you if you wanted to get one, is, well, actually, I didn't play that Spider-Man game. I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus and all these other things. And, I'd be going there to take a look at their back catalogue and then see what they bring forward in the new gen. But with Xbox, they've given me nothing that I would want to buy one for. Especially being a PC owner, because a lot of these games are available on PC.
I mean, everything that they say is coming to Game Pass, so all of the games will be coming to PC. So it's just like, why would you get one?
Before we go through the thing, list by list, thing by thing, how terrible were our predictions? How did we do?
I think we did, as in, I think they just didn't say things that we wanted them to say, but actually the things that we said... A lot of the things we said did end up in there. Obviously, there was no Perfect Dark or anything like that.
No. And I had a separate bet on Splinter Cell, and you said another game that didn't. I forgot what it was. But there was another thing that you Perfect Dark as well. But the actual predictions from the show, I was saying, would they do some sort of UI sneaky thing? And they almost did. They had Halo Infinite sat on the menu.
You had to press start.
And you had to press start, but it doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. So I'll take that off the list. But one you smashed was, as I said earlier, they did use the Master Chief voice and did the world premiere and all this sort of thing. So that was great. We both predicted Halo. We knew that was coming. It wasn't a difficult prediction.
We knew there'd be Forza.
Forza, and Fable.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else specific.
Well, I mentioned Hellblade 2, but we'll get to that when we get there. No, I don't. No, I don't.
I think our predictions are a bit a bit weak.
Yeah, but again, we
but
just didn't know we don't know what Xbox are all
to
about.
expect,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what I will say is that I think there's 5 studios, Microsoft Game Studios, that didn't show anything. So there's still time in case, maybe our predictions will come true eventually. We shall see.
Pre-show reveals. What was this about? What was this pre-show?
So they had like an hour with Jeff Keighley, who is a games guy who runs the Games Awards every year, and he's basically been massively involved with all of the kind of showcase events this year. They had an hour with him just revealing some stuff, just some smaller bits and bobs. And he had some guests on there chatting about them. First of which, Dragon Quest XI coming to Xbox and Game Pass in December. So Dragon Quest hasn't been on an Xbox console yet. So anyone who is interested in that, get on it. I've never played a Dragon Quest game. Our friend Jiggy says to give him a go because he loves them. But I've never wanted to.
I keep meaning to play 11 because it does look great. It's been on PC for a while. It came to Switch not that long ago. But yeah, just never picked it up. I think it's because I've just not been in the market for a big Japanese RPG really. So one day I will.
Yeah,
but not yet.
It also just looks a little bit too kiddie for me. Like if I'm doing a kiddie RPG, I want to do Pokemon. I'm not really that interested in this.
One of the art directors behind it is the same guy that does Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, it does. I mean, it looks a lot like Dragon Ball.
My friend described it as, in terms of playing Japanese RPGs, a lot of them can feel very intimidating or a bit weird, or like you don't know what direction it's going to take. Apparently, this one just feels like a big warm hug. It's everything you'd want from a JRPG.
Oh, okay.
So if you just...
Hey, you know what? If it comes to Game Pass, well, I know it's coming to Game Pass in December. I'll definitely give it a go. That's the beauty of Game Pass, Mark. It's like I'm just borrowing it. Here you go, play it for a bit. I'll delete it. Which is something I've done quite a lot.
What's this next one that I'm not going to try and pronounce?
Okay, so Echo Generation from Coco Cucumber, or as someone online called it, Cocumber, is which I thought actually looked really, really cool. It's like this weird Stranger Things. So it's like 80s kids wandering around, like the show Stranger Things, with some RPG turn-based combat with cards involved, and the kind of graphical style looks like it's made out of Lego. I thought it looked really cool. It looked like my kind of game. I like card-based RPG games. I really liked Slay the Spire on Switch. Really enjoyed that. So looked like a fun game.
Yeah, graphically it looks really nice, actually.
Yeah, it's just a really fun style.
I'm card gamed out and probably won't be playing that, but it looks okay.
That's all right, mate.
Hello, neighbor.
Hello, neighbor. 2. And that was a big game for like streamers. I saw a lot of streamers playing Hello Neighbor 1. And yeah, it looks like more of the same, but very creepy. There's a creepy bird man in it. Yeah, I've that's on Game Pass as well. Hello Neighbor and Secret Neighbor, and I should give that a go because it does just look fun and a little bit creepy. And then they showed this big montage of indie games, the Idea Xbox program. And this is something that I think they do. I mean, PlayStation do it as well. They showed off a lot of really great indie-looking games in their showcase. And here, there's some really, really cool games in their little montage of indie games.
We'd be here all day if we went through that. So
we're not going to go through it, but there was a lot of really nice ones. And then the last thing was a funny and weird one. So basically, some of the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog and Knights, which is another kind of platformer game that people might remember, have started a new company called the Balan Company, and they are sort of within the Square Enix family of companies. And they announced their first game called Balan Wonderland. And it looks a bit crap.
Yeah. Action is driven by the costumes you wear. It's just a collectathon platformer. Is what we've written as a synopsis.
Have you seen anything from it? Did you see
No,
anything?
only that for some reason it was in the Xbox X Games Showcase and then it was immediately available on the Switch store, which just baffles me.
Well, it's always the way. Like it's like the Destiny games always used to get showed off in the play. Basically, the Xbox or PlayStation will just pay people a load of money to be like, oh, can we show it off at our conference? It's been going on at E3 for years. It's just weird. But yeah, this looks This looks strange.
I just thought it just looked like, make it as weird as possible. Put a playing card there. Put a horse on top of that tree, and that'll be weird. And it's like, it's just not how you do weird.
And it just looked like a really early Xbox 360 or even like PS2 game. Yeah, it just didn't look very great. It just didn't look modern in any way. So anyway, so that all of that happened. They got that out of the way, the pre-show stuff, and then we went into the main showcase.
We had a countdown, and then a second countdown.
We had a countdown, and then another countdown. Yeah, 2 countdowns. Just in case the first countdown didn't get you excited enough. In case you weren't quite ready
and you needed that extra 10 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. Put on another one. So we got into it, and it started with a cinematic. It was basically showing you building how they build the Master Chief armor. It all looked really, really nice, and there was a voiceover, and it was all building hype. And I was like, "Yeah, boy, I'm ready for some Halo universe, baby," because I love the Halo universe. Anyway, so then we got into.
I thought this was so bold, starting with the Halo thing. We both said this.
Yeah, I think it is very bold.
I guess the reason they did it is because everyone knew Halo was going to be in it. If they'd waited too long, it would have built up a load of hype for it, and it would have been a big disappointment. Yeah. So just get the disappointment out of the way straight away.
Yeah.
Just get Halo out of the way as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, the cinematic was fine. It was just a slight hype building thing. It was okay.
Yeah.
And then we launched into the game, do you want to start?
Yeah. So. Well, when I was watching them play it, I was like, this looks like Halo. This looks to me like the Halo that I want to be playing. It looked like just fun, that kind of sandboxy, just doing fun stuff that I remember when I first played Combat Evolved way back in the day, like getting into a warthog, leaping off a ramp, doing stupid stuff. It had that vibe, popping grunts with headshots, like colourful, all that kind of vibe. And while I was watching it, I was thinking, yeah, no, this looks good. I mean, it looks like Halo. And that is something that I think 343 needed to do. They need to go back to Halo that everybody knows and loves that Bungie made. And they did that, but sadly, in more ways than one, as...
They've gone too far back. They've gone back to 2004.
Yeah. It weirdly, I mean, they've said some stuff since, like they're going to update the visit. That was an old build. There's going to be updated visuals. The graphics are going to look way better. But it was just all so flat and blocky and lifeless. Like the textures were terrible. It was like matte paint on a brick wall. It was just really, really odd.
Very odd. Really pasty and like strangely colourful, but not in an enchanting way.
Yeah, exactly. Really strangely
in a really
colourful.
Weird, flat way. And there were these cliffs that had this like hexagonal thing that were going on that just didn't work for me. It looked like Minecraft. No. So it just had this really weird vibe. Like graphically and visually just looked odd. Really, really odd.
Have you seen the close-up of Craig, the grunt? I'm guessing, not Grunt, Brute.
Yeah,
excellent names.
It's just appalling, and the ships look really bad.
Yeah.
Also the lip sync is just crap, and also the French/Arabic guy at the start has weirdly small hands, which is a bit creepy. But yeah, everything to do with it graphically and visually is just poor, as in genuinely poor.
Yeah.
Just not next gen vibes at all.
I can't. I mean, they haven't even said anything along the lines of, oh, but it's like an open world sandbox vibe. The game, like they've said that it's huge. Like apparently the world is as big as the last 2 games put together. So like you get, when that kind of thing, when you know that, you get away with stuff. You get away with a little bit because it's a huge world. But if you look at Red Dead Redemption 2, even if you look at GTA 5, which is now like 10 years old, those games are huge and they look miles better than this demo did.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. And like you said, to start off the conference with that after over a year of hyping this is the most powerful. I mean, apparently it was running on PC, which is doubly bizarre. It's just like, I just don't get it. Like I said, on a positive note, some of the gameplay stuff I thought looked really fun. It had a nice vibe to it. If graphically that had been in like what we all wanted, I probably would have come away from that being like, yeah, I'm up for it. I wouldn't have been like, oh shit, yeah, oh Halo Infinite.
We didn't see enough gameplay to really get a grasp of it. What we did see is that the gameplay very much just looks like Halo 2, Halo 3, and that's kind of okay. That's fine because those games were fun and there's nothing wrong with it. But there's also no innovation. Their innovation just seemed to be, you got a grappling hook, and it's like, great, I can play Apex Legends if I want a grappling hook.
Yeah.
You said, I really hope they don't make it open world. There's a lot of open world fatigue. And that's exactly what they've gone ahead and done. They seem to think that innovation is just like strapping a gadget on you and making it open world. And as Dan said, we're all a little bit bored of following waypoint markers and going to point A and then, there's an exclamation point over there, I better go do that. So I'm hoping that the open world, if it is open world, that they've actually innovated in some way, and it's, I don't know, Breath of the Wildy in the way it lets you approach going out into the world and doing stuff.
Yeah, so do I. I really hope so.
If it's just loads of point markers, I ain't got time for that.
No.
That's going to be boring as heck.
From the way you like sort of step out of the spaceship and you just kind of stepped out and you could just choose where you wanted to go. There was a little bit of that cool kind of like non-handholdy vibe, but...
Well, not really. I mean, Halo Reach had the same mission. It literally had the same mission at the start of Halo Reach where it's like, it said something, I can't remember what the 2 points were, but there's like a fork in the road in one of the early missions and they're like, go take out the AA gun or go press this button to open the gate or something.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And essentially the Halo Infinite starts in pretty much exactly the same way it goes. Master Chief's like, I counted 3 AA guns. You stay in the ship and then we'll deal with your thing. Yes. So basically, it's the illusion of choice. You've got 3 AA guns to deal with. Pick an AA gun and do them in whichever order you want. Yeah. That's not choice. That's not open world.
Yeah, you're right. I guess what I'm hoping is that you step out the ship and what you can actually do is turn around and go the complete opposite direction and go just, go and do whatever you want. Like, if that's the case, then yeah, great. But if I just really don't know what from what I've seen, I don't know what I want. It's still don't know what I want it to be. I think if a co-op thing happens, if like a friend can just jump in, like if they had showed that, if they had shown just like a guy, like another Spartan like spawn on the map, like next to you, and you just get to, he can piss off and do what he wants and then come back to you. Like
they could have done the cheesy,
like, that'd be great.
The cheesy fake actor playing the game chat, which they always do.
Oh, hey,
bro,
Paul.
do you mind if I jump in? Oh yeah, bro, come in. I'm having so much fun. Have you seen how bad the lip sync is?
I just put the kids to bed. Now I can play Halo Infinite. Like, those things were cringy as hell. But yeah, I just have so many questions left.
I think the thing is that this just isn't looking like the big system selling. Like, this is awful. This is just not good.
And this is the system selling game as it stands.
So,
but anyway, there's enough out there. There's enough out there about how shoddy it looks and all this stuff. So go out and go. Just log on to Twitter and look at the memes if you need a bit more information. Next up, we saw a trailer, no gameplay, for State of Decay 3, which I think if you're a big fan of the series, this would have been a big surprise for you because State of Decay 2 didn't come out that long ago.
I didn't play any. Were they any good?
I've never played them, but I know a lot of people like them. I know our friend Joe Hines played it and he didn't like it, but it's basically a zombie survival game where you build a community and build a little hideout. I like the sound of it, so I do want to play it at some point. But anyway, they revealed that, which was a bit of a surprise, which probably means it's not coming out for a little while, I wouldn't have thought.
I mean, it would have been a pre-rendered cutscene, but it looked good. As in, visually looked great.
Oh, yeah. So, it definitely looked really good. Then before the next game trailer, they said, just so you know, all games shown will be available on Game Pass, which is, that was a cool thing to say, and that's that. Then we got onto the one that we knew was coming all this time. We knew it was going to be shown.
Yep. It's not a numbered entry into the Forza franchise. It's just another Forza Motorsport, whatever that means.
So it sounds they're probably just making more like a platform, like or they're just going to keep adding to that as a thing. I would have thought. So they're not going to from now on. Yeah. I guess so. I don't know.
But this is one of the few on here that appear to be next gen. from what I can tell. This is not going to work on Xbox One by the looks of it. But they did make a big thing about the fact that it's got ray tracing and all this sort of thing. So that sounds like it will be the case. I think it visually looks better than the demo we saw from Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo
7. Again, not really our games, these. I enjoyed playing the last Forza Motorsport. I dipped into it on your Game Pass on PC, actually. And enjoyed what I played. It's fine. It's a sim, and if that's your thing, it's another one coming out, and it looks visually great. So not a lot to say, but it was expected that this would happen, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, after what we've just had, I would have actually liked to have seen some actual single-player gameplay, just to be like, oh, so this is what the most powerful console, quotes, of all time looks like.
Especially since this one has definitely got all the ray tracing.
Yeah, it's got all the bells and whistle. We didn't just trailer, but I'm sure it will be absolutely stunning. Then next up, one that actually did get me quite excited, even though I had a lack of any information as to what the hell it is a game called Everwild by the people at Rare. It has these kind of like Studio Ghibli or Ghibli vibes, however you want to pronounce it, and it seems to be sort of the voiceover was talking about connection to nature and how we deal with nature, and it had some people looking after animals. Then this big animal was sick, and some orange Wotsits came out its mouth. It looks really nice, but nobody knows what it is. And I actually read something afterwards where like Rare were saying that they still don't really know what it is. So which makes me think, how are you making a game where you don't know what it's going to be? But it looks great. I really like the look of it. So that had me sold, just the look of it. But I'd like to know if it is an RTS or a farm simulator. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love the art style. I love Studio Ghibli stuff anyway. It was just very pretty and sort of enchanting to look at. But again, no clue what it is. So hard to get excited. I mean, we had a few of these in the PS5 event as well. Just stuff that looked nice and interesting, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. Yeah, genuinely looked good.
Yeah.
Can't get excited.
Yeah. Agree on that.
Yeah. The next game was a story-based game like Life is Strange by a studio called Don't Nod, called Tell Me Why.
So it's these two siblings. They have these visions whenever they I think this is actually the words they use, when they see or hear something heavily emotional, they start having these visions. It's all a bit moody, a bit dodgy. I thought it seemed like an interesting story. Very, very moody. It is going to be very much like an interactive narrative as opposed to a gamey video game. But if you're a fan of, I think Don't Nod do Life is Strange in those games. If you're a fan of those kind of games, I'm sure this will be your cup of tea as well. I'll probably give it a go. Again, coming to Game Pass, so why wouldn't I give it a go? So yeah, and that is something that I think Xbox are doing well at the moment, is these sort of like moody teenager narrative games. They're doing a lot of them, and people seem to really like them. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but hey.
Yeah, mine neither. But the next piece of info was Ori, Will of the Wisps, an updated version for next gen that will run at 120 FPS at 4K for Xbox One. Of course, you can already do that on PC, but presumably it's a free update, so it's just a bit of time filler if you want to play that game again.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will look absolutely... I mean, it looked gorgeous on the Xbox One already, so I'm sure on the Series X it will look even more fabulous. So yeah, they showed that off, but again, like you said, didn't necessarily need to... I mean, why wasn't that in the pre-show?
Yeah, that could have been pre-show. As can the next piece of news, which is Outer Worlds DLC Peril on Gorgon, comes out on September 9th. Again...
Did you finish Outer Worlds?
No, I got really close to the end and then was just like, see ya. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know why they're squeezing this into their main showcase when it's not news, is it really?
Well, I mean, it is. And I didn't know there was DLC coming, but it's not exciting news. As in, I don't...
It's not next gen for Xbox One.
No.
Either. That's why I just don't really...
No, but again, it's all about Xbox games as opposed to Xbox Series X. It's just their weird way of doing things. I really enjoyed what I played of Outer Worlds, and I'm sure this will be good. So if
more of the same. It was a good game. So yeah.
If you like that, crack into that September 9th. And then on the Obsidian train, they also had another couple of announcements. Well, the next one wasn't really an announcement. They just showed more of Grounded, which is coming to Xbox, Game Pass, and PC, and Steam as well. So, yeah. Like I said, that is out today on Xbox Games Preview, and that is basically part of their way of getting some feedback before the full game will come out eventually. So I'm going to dip into that with Joe Hines tonight, and I'll let everyone know what I think of it next week. But yeah, that's basically where you're tiny people, like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you're running around tall grass, having a whale of a time. So we'll see what that's like. But their next announcement was, I'm coming away from it. It's probably my favourite announcement of the whole show, potentially.
I'm with you. This is massively downplayed, and I'll tell you for why. Obsidian, again, we're still on Obsidian.
Yep.
Obsidian made, let's not forget, what is touted to be the best Fallout game, Fallout New Vegas. They also made Outer Worlds.
Yep.
This is a company that are sort of in the Bethesda, or were in the Bethesda group.
Yeah,
at least.
now, well, they're owned by Microsoft now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So the thing is, they make a better game that Bethesda owned and then got released from Bethesda.
Yeah.
So like now they've got freedom to do what they want. So this is potentially quite a big thing.
Yeah.
With Bethesda just like flapping in the wind with the failure that is Fallout 76. All they've given in terms of Elder Scrolls details is a splash screen of the title screen. This is their chance to basically go toe to toe with whatever they've got and build their own, what essentially looks like a Elder Scrolls title.
Yeah.
And that's huge. This is the biggest thing. It was so downplayed, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
That Xbox are going to have their own Elder Scrolls vibe, first-person RPG called Avowed, that is going to be next-gen, open-world RPG. There was no gameplay.
No.
But the fact that, it was just kind of announced just amongst everything else, they really weren't playing up to their strengths in this showcase.
I mean, also they didn't have a whole load to show about it, and as in like, yeah, I don't know what else they could have done. Maybe had someone afterwards being like, wow.
well, they just needed someone from Obsidian to be like, hey guys, we're really excited to tell you that we're building our own
Right,
and show some screenshots and some
info.
artwork and be like, it's going to be this, it's going to be open world, and we can't say anything else right now, but we're really excited to, because then it would have given a little bit more context for what we saw, and it also would have just hyped it up. Because if this really is going to be something that is the thing that battles the Elder Scrolls in terms of open world first person RPGs, then it's a big thing for Xbox to have on their side.
For me, this is just because of how huge it still is, how huge Skyrim was, and how everybody is waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6, and how Bethesda are a bit down the toilet at the moment. If this turns out to be a better game than Elder Scrolls 6, this could be a huge thing for Microsoft. So it is a massive deal, like you said, that they've showed this off. It's being built from the ground up for next gen, so this won't be... This will, pack all of those kind of punches. Something I didn't realize is it's set in the Pillars of Eternity world, which is a game by Obsidian Studios, which is like an isometric RPG that both of us have said isn't really our thing. So it's set in a universe that already exists. If anyone who's played the Pillars of Eternity game,
they're beautiful games. But I have a rocky relationship with isometric RPGs. I just tend to, I don't know what it is. Anyway, but the games looked fantastic, and I always wanted to play them, and then just never got around to it. Yeah. So much so that there's now 2 of them, and I haven't played either of them. So yeah, the fact that they're basing it on a pre-existing lore and a pre-existing world is only a strength, really. Yeah, they really downplayed it. They just kind of showed the trailer and then moved on. And I think this is potentially their biggest reveal.
I think it's huge. It's very, very, very exciting. It looks a lot like Skyrim. You saw someone holding a sword in one hand and casting a spell with their other hand. If it does what Skyrim did, but in next gen, then it will be huge. So I think it's exciting, and we'll all be keeping a good eye on Avowed. Next up, they showed a game by a new studio called Interior Night, and actually the head of the studio is a French lady, and she actually used to work for Quantic Dream. So there's a little link to what we were talking about earlier. Very much another interactive storytelling game called As Dusk Falls. Again, not crazily my cup of tea. The art style is a bit odd. It's sort of artistic renders of actors, and it looks kind of like a visual comic. That was a thing that they showed?
Yeah, I didn't like the look of this tool. Again, same as you, I think. Just the way it looks, not that sort of visual comic.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Watercolor, I guess, or oil painting look. Just not my thing. It looks like it's just going to be like weak gameplay vibes, but with a lot of story. So there's potential for that to really pull it through. But just for looking at it, no thanks.
Not crazy my thing, but I'm sure there will be people that like it.
But the next thing was more our thing. Ninja Theory are working on Hellblade 2, which we already knew about. Again, no gameplay to show, but beautiful locational shots and inspiring artwork, which is just good to see because it's still on my list to play, and I promise you I will play it. But Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, looks incredible. And you can talk more about the gameplay side of things, but needless to say, I'm excited to play it. Still haven't got around to it, and you loved it.
Absolutely loved it for the story, for the gameplay, all of those reasons. But this just frustrated me a little bit because they had already told they showed more of it a year ago at E3 when they showed a trailer for it, and a year later they had less to show, which was just frustrating. Which makes you again think it's not going to be out for a little while. But this is one of their big games. It's really their only answer to the sort of PlayStation 5 third-person narrative action game thing that they're so good at over at Sony. So yeah, it was a shame they didn't show more about it, but I'm sure it's going to be great. I just would love to have seen some gameplay, I think.
I think the only thing I would be quote unquote worried about is the fact that when they made the first one, they were a relatively small studio, so they kind of had a lot of creative control and very, very much had a vision. The problem with sequels, obviously, sequelitis is a genuine issue that some games overcome, Mass Effect 2, for example. But now that they're a bigger studio, I'm just worried that the vision's going to be changed in some way, or they're being forced to make another one and therefore don't have a full rounded idea and vision for what it is and should be. Because they haven't revealed anything else, I can't tell you whether that's true or not.
Yeah, it's easy to speculate that kind of thing because it's always a worry when big studios get involved. But, on the other side of the coin, Microsoft could just be chucking a load of money their way to say, do what you want. So,
absolutely.
You don't know. But yeah, we look forward to seeing more from Hellblade 2. Next up was, I thoroughly enjoyed this. We saw Jack Black singing a song over a trailer for Psychonauts 2. Which is very exciting. I thought it looked charming, fun, weird, bizarre, and just very much like the first Psychonauts game. Double Fine, I think, are a great string to Xbox Game Studios' bow, just because they're some of the best people at making weird ass games. So I thought it looked great. I love that Jack Black was singing in the trailer. If you enjoyed the first Psychonauts, I think you're going to enjoy this because it looks like more of the same. And more of the same weirdness.
Yeah, looks like they've absolutely just continued on down the same vein, and it looks great. And you can always, I feel like Double Fine very much have their sort of maker's mark. You can tell a Double Fine game. Yeah. I think that's a good thing. They kind of have a vibe about them. And the other thing I'd say is that this is how you do psychedelic and weird. Balan Wonderworld could learn a thing or two from this trailer. This is how you do like weird Oddworld vibes. You don't just stick playing cards and colours in random places and go.
I love this playing card reference that Balan Wonderworld has.
Well, it's just because, it just irritated me. Anyway, but it looks good. Psychonauts 2 there. Next up, not news. Destiny 2 will be available on Xbox Series X and will include all the current DLC. That's great if you're a new player. Again, I said earlier, if you wanted to try and play Destiny 2, you probably have already and already know whether you're interested or not. They're apparently also going to be releasing an updated version that will run at 4K. Again, if you're playing on PC, which is the most active community, you're already having that. This isn't news. This is filler.
It's a pre-show thing, I guess. I mean, having said, I agree with everything you just said. I think it will bring new players in. Like our friend Joe Hines was like, "Oh, it's coming to Game Pass. I'll definitely give it a go." So as in, like, there will be, and it will get me to pick it up again, just because it includes all the DLC. And that was actually one of the main reasons why I stopped playing Destiny, was because I was like, I don't want to pay for the DLC, and everyone then plays it and gets more ahead of you and all of this sort of thing. So that's part of the reason why I stopped playing it. So if I know I'm getting the DLC for free, I'll 100% jump back into Destiny because I flipping loved it. But like you said, we could have quite happily had this or just a tweet just a tweet out there being like, "Yo, by the way, this is happening." But yeah, like I said earlier, interesting that it was shown in this showcase because they have had a lot of links to PlayStation in the past, Destiny, in terms of getting exclusives and having things first. The PlayStation side has tended to have that, so it's interesting that they now bring it over to Xbox.
Well, I think the whole Bungie Microsoft Halo debacle is water under the bridge.
Yeah,
now.
you get that feeling. I think they started the segment off with like our old friends at Bungie or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And also Destiny 2 has always been available on Xbox One anyway.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a bit of a Microsoft making amends and kind of like trying to push it on their platform a bit more, which is fine. Like whatever.
Yeah. Next, so I never played the first game, but I know it has quite an active community. And interestingly, the trailer for this that got showed off in this event has more views than any other game showed during this showcase, and more than Halo, more than the one that happens at the end. So this is Stalker 2. And it is a creepy-looking Ukrainian environment. So I know nothing about the first Stalker. You don't either.
Neither do I, to be honest with you. Is it? I think it's a first-person weird Ukrainian.
Yes.
Creepy
is it
shooter.
survival sort of thing?
I just don't know. I'm afraid I haven't done my research on this one. They kind of brought out this trailer, and it's obviously there for people who know to be like, oh, sick. It seems to be a very specific audience.
Yeah,
it is a first-person shooter survival horror
there you go.
game,
which is
so there you
definitely the kind of genre I can get involved in. I like first-person shooters and I like survival horror. So,
crikey, it's from 2005.
Yeah, it's an old one. So I think this is obviously because of the views that the trailer's getting. This was probably quite a huge announcement for a lot of people. So yeah, I guess I'll definitely give that a crack.
A new audience for the Stalker series, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So that one was, I guess, a little bit out of left field. Yeah. Stalker 2.
Warhammer 40k Darktide coming out in 2021. There's no gameplay so far, but from what I can tell, it is a 4-player co-op Vermintide style game, but based in the 40k universe. I played Vermintide. It's a very well-made game. It's very well polished. It's a bit thin on the ground in terms of actual gameplay loop because you just end up replaying the same levels over and over again. They didn't seem to think about the longevity of that game. But if you can get a 4-player squad together, there's fun to be had.
Yeah.
I have a friend who actually works for Warhammer and Workshop Games who literally went, when this trailer came out, at the end of it just went, oh, I've been holding information about that game for so long.
Oh, wow.
He just couldn't say anything about it. Yeah. So I asked him a couple of questions. He was just like, I don't think I can talk about it. Don't ask me questions.
So I have no affinity or any kind of point of reference for anything to do with Warhammer. But this trailer actually got me intrigued. And if it is a 4-player kind of Left 4 Dead style thing, then I would definitely be involved.
I think that's exactly what it is. So yeah, it could be a lot of fun if it's an improvement on Vermintide and is that style game. I'll be interested in it, and there'll be a lot of people excited for this.
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, I think it was definitely a surprise to see a Warhammer game in a very much a mainstream game showcase. But maybe that's just me being slightly naive. But I'm well up for it. So kudos to them. They're definitely going to find themselves a new audience, I think. Mm-hmm. Next up, we saw a look at Tetris Effect Connected. So Tetris Effect was a game that came out for PSVR and on the PlayStation a couple of years ago, I believe, and was hugely well received. Just a really interesting and new way of doing Tetris, of which there are a lot of ways of doing Tetris. This trailer consisted of lots of people smiling and just looking generally quite chuffed while playing Tetris. So that's nice. It's another new Tetris game, Mark.
Yeah, massively bobbed, not that interested in Tetris. Apparently, again, a couple of friends of mine were like, oh, it's so good. Tetris Effect was genuinely great.
Yeah.
So cool. If you liked Tetris Effect and you like Tetris, there's more of that. And if you can be as happy and annoying looking as the people in the trailer, you're gonna enjoy yourself.
There's
That's
just
for sure.
something, I think it's being British, just seeing loads of people smiling at the camera just makes me angry. Is that a British trait?
And maybe that's what it is, because like that kind of marketing, that kind of overly happy, like fake fun, aren't we all enjoying ourselves, just pisses us off to no end. It's just not reality in the slightest.
We're just too cynical for that. It's just like, I just want to see someone miserable. That's all I want.
As a separate thing, Dark Tide is already on Steam.
Is it?
That you can add to? Yeah, so again, seemingly not a full exclusive. Whether that, I don't think it'll be PS5, but it looks like it's definitely Xbox.
Yeah, I think a
PC.
lot of the stuff is coming both to PC and Xbox. But
the creators of the Steam World games is a game where you are on alien planets sucking up stuff. It's called The Gunk, and
I actually quite like the look of this.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think it looks like a cross between Luigi's Mansion and World of Goo, and I like it. I just thought it looked fun and nice.
Yeah, I mean, graphically, sort of visually rather, it looked all right.
And I also, on a side note, I really like the SteamWorld Dig games. They are very fun games.
Yeah, I tried them. They weren't for me.
Okay.
But, I don't really fully understand what this game is, but that you've got like a mechanical arm. Again, actually, visually, it looks very much like Psychonauts, so if that conjures up the right sort of image, but sort of darker.
Both colourful and dark at the same time.
Yeah, and you've got a sort of power fist on your right arm with a vacuum in it, and you're sucking up black goop. Don't know what that means, if you're reading the world of a virus, or who knows.
Yeah.
The story elements could go anywhere from here, but it looked weird. I can't say I'm super interested. If I had Game Pass and it was just there to play, I'd probably give it a shot.
Yeah, that's.
But I think that's kind of the moral of the Xbox story. We're putting on everything on Game Pass to keep you interested.
That's it, and it does make you, in a way, like it makes you more inquisitive and more open to trying stuff. But at the same time, it also makes you a little bit more forgiving because you aren't spending 40 quid on a game. It's like, well, I'll just give it a go, and if I don't like it, then I'll get rid of it. So it's a weird one because you expect less and you are disappointed less.
Yeah, but the next game, actually, we both, quote, liked the look of a lot.
Yes, from Bloober Team.
Bloober,
who have done some horror games such as Layers of Fear, amongst others. This game, when it first started, I was like, oh, is this the rumoured Silent Hill reboot that is coming to PlayStation? So it would have been mad if it was here. But no, it just looked like Silent Hill. Very spooky, weird stuff. And the main takeaway from this is that there are two worlds, parallel worlds, that are being rendered simultaneously. And you are a girl, a woman who is walking around and can switch between these two worlds. So it is similar to Silent Hill, and there's one world which looks normal and okay and nice, and then there's another world which looks moody and hellish and scary. And I assume that mechanic will be used to solve puzzles, kill certain types of enemy, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just love the way this looks. I think we both love a good horror game, don't we?
Yep. No, we both enjoy a spooky game. Love the spooksters. It's got a classic sort of dark, shadowy, graphical style to it. And yeah, hopefully the sort of world switching, dual reality thing isn't an annoying mechanic. Sometimes things like that can just be very tacked on superficial things. So hopefully it's like something that really actually enriches it and doesn't just turn it into an annoying puzzly thing.
Yeah, hopefully it's not overused or they're not constantly prompting to be like, hey, listen,
keep switching, go switch again,
switch to the other world. I'm in the other world.
But it does look good.
I'm a demon. Yeah, it does. It looks awesome. I'm well up for that vibe.
The medium there. Next up, Sega. Sega continually putting out trash and continuing on with the Xbox We Need Filler segment by putting out New Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2 expansion, generic anime looking ass, MMO ass. There was just some gameplay of Phantasy Star Online. Does anybody here want to play a really anime style MMO? No.
Not me. Well, actually, I like anime, but
I do like anime, yeah, but like it's just.
But this looks poop.
It does look poop. Text over gameplay in impact font, as if they knew it was a meme. What do you mean by that?
Well, just because they generally all the text over it was in impact font, which is the font that they use for memes.
I see,
and it's just a joke.
What's this next one, Bellum? Crossfire X.
Crossfire X is currently out there somewhere as a multiplayer game. I don't really know a lot about it, but they showed a trailer for the single player campaign that is coming to Crossfire X, which I thought looked pretty good, actually. It looked like a sort of Call of Duty style vibe single player, but actually I've subsequently found out after the showcase that the single player is being made and written by Remedy Studios, who have made quite a few good games. They obviously made the original Max Payne games. They've made Quantum Break. They've made recently Control, which went down very well. So, yeah, it looked like a cool single player story campaign game, but I have no idea what Crossfire X is. I don't know if you know a little bit more.
It's where you use two AMD graphics cards in the same system and they work in tandem for Crossfire. No, the actual game, I've no idea. I'm same as you. It looks fine. There's loads of FPS games out there, so like it's really got to be something interesting to compete. So yeah, if it's a really intense single player vibe, there's just a lot of multiplayer shooters out there. So if they're really focusing on single player, could be a good thing if that's what you're after. So I mean, graphically looks fine. Can't really comment. Can't say I'm excited. Can't say I hated it.
No. Well, all Remedy are really saying is featuring state-of-the-art character technology, we aim to take storytelling in the first-person military shooter genre to the next level. So I assume by that they're basically saying the COD genre, we're trying to do a bit better than them, is basically what they're saying. But we'll see. I mean, it was quite a cool looking trailer,
and it also looks like one of the few things that will be next gen, and potentially this new one, which it wasn't leaked, but it was certainly guessed. There were a few things in this showcase that didn't make it that we thought might, and other people on the internet thought might. So there was no Splinter Cell, there was no Perfect Dark. There were a couple of other things that people thought might come back, but the one more thing was Fable. Ladies and gentlemen, Fable. With no sign of Peter Molyneux, thank God. It's the studio actually that are behind the Forza Horizon series, Playground Games, which I believe Playground Games actually are the sort of dissolved people from Lionhead plus some other people sprinkled in, as far as I'm aware. Okay. Could be wrong.
Well, I know that so obviously they are behind the Horizon aspects of Forza. So you have Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, and I know that within Playground Games they have sort of they have two teams. One team is working on Forza Horizon, the other team is being dedicated to purely Fable. And loads of people have known for a long time that they've been making this new fantasy RPG, and everyone's been saying, come on, it's Fable, just tell us it's Fable. And now we know it's Fable!
Give it up. So there was no gameplay, it was a short teaser trailer, and I've got to say, just from the trailer, it looked great. It's exactly what I was saying last week. It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that humorous tone. I wanted it to look colourful and just really magical. That's just what Fable 1 was to me, was this like really like beautiful sort of, you know, you can sort of sense the magic in the air kind of vibe, which sounds really cheesy, but that's what it was about. And they've achieved that with the trailer. It's very colourful, fairy tale, very pretty, and the humour's still there. Go watch the trailer and you'll see what we mean.
In the best possible way, it reminds me of Shrek 1.
Yes.
Like when you saw Shrek 1 for the first time, it was like, oh, they're taking all of these like cliche fairy tale tropes and taking the piss out of them, and that is exactly what you see in this trailer. And go watch it. It's funny, but just really glad that they've confirmed that, because I think, like we have always said, Xbox need, as well as Gears of War, Halo, and Forza, they need another big franchise to add to that trio, because at the moment everyone's sick of it and they haven't been that great of late. So to have Fable up there as another kind of prong on that fork of games, I think is hugely vital, and I just really, really hope that when they reveal it, it's what people want. And from just that small trailer, we've got a great setting, we've got the sense of humor, so now we just need great gameplay to go with that.
Yeah, I thought, again, there's not a lot to go on, but it sort of hit the nail on the head for me in terms of the tone.
Would you like similar gameplay to the first Fable game, or how would you like it to go in terms of gameplay?
I mean, obviously it needs innovating upon. I sort of daren't go back and play Fable 1 because I think it just will have aged very poorly.
Yeah, I started it the other day after the showcase, and I was like, oh yeah, this hasn't aged well, sadly.
And also those sort of decisions, it was very much if you pick this way, you'll get devil horns because you're a bad person. And if you go this way, you'll get a halo because you're a good person. So it's all a bit antiquated. So really...
Not very subtle.
Not subtle at all. So yeah, it needs a big update. I don't want to see guns in the game. I want to see crossbows and bows. I want to see more emphasis on magic and just some sort of powers, I guess. I want to see swords, long swords, two-handing, shields, gauntlets. I just want to see a little bit more expansive battle system. I think it was pretty hack and slashy from what I remember, and there wasn't a lot of magic.
Yeah, it was just like press B to shoot lightning. It was that kind of vibe.
So again, it all just needs updating and bringing into the 21st century. And into the next gen, indeed. But yeah, just great to see Fable back. They did the right thing here finally by not downplaying it and putting it as the one more thing. This is the one time where we really felt that we were getting a little bit of a slam dunk. Again, we expected Fable, but to have a little teaser trailer and them actually hype it up in the correct way is a good thing.
Yeah. 100%, and it's a really good way of closing it out. Like we've said, would have been nice to have a few more of these big kind of, open jaw, like, wow, I'm so glad they're doing this moments. But nonetheless, a good way to end the showcase, in which we had 10 world premieres. 22 launch console exclusives or console launch exclusives, 5 of which are made for next gen Series X. And yeah, the other thing to take away from that is that every single game that you saw there will be available day one when the game is out on Xbox Game Pass. So, the fact that I have Game Pass and I know that I'm getting 22 games, pretty great.
Yeah.
But
I'm not convinced by this launch console exclusives, considering a lot of them are on Steam. But
yes,
yeah.
I don't know how much of that is like it's a console launch versus PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't really know. Maybe they mean that. I don't know.
Not sure. As a thing to watch, it was well put together. No issues with that really. They didn't talk down to everyone and piss everyone off like the PC Gamer one, which was awful and far too long. So in a similar vibe to the PS5 event, they just did a good job of editing and putting it together. So no issues there. Again, I don't think they necessarily bigged up in the right places. I think that, Psychonauts was just chucked in there. Hellblade 2, they didn't have enough to show to sort of move the production along of where we are with that. There's a lot of filler for games that already existed, which I think is a problem. A lot of the games are cross-gen, which is a problem. There aren't enough games that are really saying, we've got the most powerful console. Here's what it's going to look like. Boom. So there wasn't that. And then again, going back to the Obsidian big first-person RPG, they avowed, they didn't give that enough space to really show how potentially big and important that game could be. So there are a lot of issues here. It hasn't convinced me that I want or need a Series X. But what about you? How are you feeling? Where are you at? You've said in the past it's on a knife edge. There's lots of PS5 and PS4 games that you want to play. Are you just hooked into the ecosystem with your Game Pass?
I'm definitely hooked into the ecosystem. That is just a fact, because I absolutely love Game Pass. What it hasn't done is it hasn't said to me, I'm definitely getting a PlayStation, but it definitely hasn't said I'm going to get an Xbox Series X. What it has said to me is I want to stay with Xbox for the future because of Game Pass. And whether that means me just keeping my Xbox One and somewhere down the line I get a PS5 as well, that's definitely an option. But what it hasn't done to me is said, Joe, you need to get an Xbox Series X because the games that are coming to that console are worth buying it. But that, like I said, they are making it clear that that's just not their strategy, which for some people is great and for some people it isn't. But in terms of selling hardware, I don't think it is a good strategy. And I think that is just fact. So it's going to be interesting to see what if they feel like they need to remedy that in any way. Or I was going to say to you, do you think they need, if we're looking at 343 Industries and Halo, do you think they need to come out with some clarifications about one, graphically, what it will be like or what they were trying to do? Or do you think they should stay quiet and hold off and not try and make excuses for why the game looked like that?
Be quiet, hold off, develop the game, make the game as good as it can be and knuckle down. And, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We know that the head, I think it was the lead story writer was dropped like a year ago, which is
never a good thing.
Which is just the worst timing. Don't know. I genuinely don't know why the game looks the way it does. It just looks appalling. But we can't. We don't want to hear excuses. I don't think. I think they need to just come out. They just need to. If that's the way it looks, that's the way it looks. They need to just focus on whatever it is they're doing in there and make the game, and then hopefully it can stand up on its gameplay and the other merits that it may have that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, well, I know they're going to be showing off multiplayer, whether I think potentially within the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing that Halo multiplayer has done, the Halo multiplayer hasn't really suffered hugely over the last few titles. People have still really enjoyed playing the multiplayer. It's been the single player that has been the main issue, and sadly, they haven't done they have in terms of gameplay. I do think that people look at that and think this looks like a lot more like the Halo I know and love. But obviously, there's a lot of worries about the open world's point of view and whether or not that is just going to ruin it. The issue for me is I've left with more questions than answers. And like we were saying, this Halo game needed to come out with this Halo game being like, bam, we're laying down the gauntlet. This is the game that is next generation. That is the Halo game you've all been asking for. And so far, it doesn't look like that.
Not at all.
So,
and it's not next gen. That's what gets me. I just don't, I don't understand that at all.
No.
I think in terms of people's different stances, I think if you're a PS4 owner right now, there is more chance of hell freezing over than you buying one of these. I think you're probably happy with the games you're getting, and you're probably going to get a PS5, whether that's straight away or not, is up to them. For me as a PC gamer and a Switch owner, they haven't given me a draw or a reason to get one. There is more reason for me to buy a PS4 than there is to buy a Series X. So again, for me, it's like, how much do I want to play those PS5 exclusive titles, those PS4 exclusive titles? The answer is, yes, I do. I'm not rushing to get a PS5. So that's the situation there. And I probably represent, I'm guessing that's what represents a lot of PC gamers' attitude. Yeah, and if you're an Xbox One owner, you either own an Xbox One out of the fact that you just like Xbox and therefore just really entrenched at this point, or you're more maybe towards what you were saying in terms of you're just really enjoying the benefits of the Games Pass, and at the moment they haven't given you a reason to buy one, but they also haven't given you a reason to leave.
Yes.
Like, would you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. I think if I'm at the moment, if I'm buying an next-gen console because of the games, then I would say that the PS5 is the more attractive console to buy. However, I have no reason to leave the Xbox ecosystem. And the Game Pass, I do think the Game Pass model is the best deal in gaming at the moment. And so it's a very tricky situation that I'm kind of found myself in. You
literally have no reason to leave your Xbox One, because a lot of these games are cross-gen. So actually, if you do want to play these games, which are on Game Pass anyway, you literally have no reason to leave.
Exactly.
In terms of selling your Xbox One anyway, or trading it in or whatever.
So I wouldn't do that. I've no need, unless the only reason I do that is if I got an Xbox Series X, which as it stands right now, I'm in no rush to do. But we'll who knows what's going to happen over the next few months. I know that in August, PlayStation have got, which is in a few days' time, August is soon. There's some calendar facts for you. I know that at some point in August, PlayStation are going to do another showcase. And there's lots of rumors going around about what they're going to show in that. So there's even more reason to be excited. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of months. Things might change. But all in all, just an okay showcase from Xbox. Not bad, not great, just all right. There were some great games shown for me. Would have liked to have seen a lot more, and Halo disappointed me. That's where I'm at.
I think we're on a similar page, I would say, in general.
Yeah, I reckon so. We would love to hear whatever all of you guys listening thought of the Xbox showcase. If you didn't watch it live, it is still available on YouTube on the Xbox channel. Go give it a watch, see if you agree with our various salty opinions, and if you think the praise we gave was deserved or terribly incorrect, just let us know.
Yeah, please do. That email is pushingbuttonspod@gmail.com. We just want to hear what you thought of the Xbox Games Showcase.
Yes, we do. Let us know. And if you don't want to hop on an email, just let us know on our social media. That is at PB Podcast UK. And on Instagram, it is at PushingButtonsPod. Please do get in touch with us. Give all of our pages a like, share them, follow us all over the place. That would be nice.
And of course, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Pushing Buttons. Next week, what are we doing, Bellum?
We're going to talk next week about the Nintendo Switch, Mark. A lovely console. It's been out for over 3 years now. And we're going to talk about what it's like to have been a Nintendo Switch owner for these 3 years. That's what we're going to talk about.
And what they're playing at, which actually we spoke about quite a lot last week. We deviated into Nintendo chat because we're annoyed.
Yes, I think there's a lot to be said about Nintendo's silence this year and what they're... I mean, we say what you want about Xbox's showcase. Nintendo are...
They haven't even had one.
Miles off the ball. So we're going to be talking about Nintendo. We would love it if you guys would get in touch with your thoughts about what Nintendo are up to or what it's like being a Nintendo owner, and we can have a look at some of that chat in that episode. Please do go and recommend this podcast to a mate. Let people know what we're all about. If you know someone that likes gaming, tell them, listen to Pushing Buttons podcast, would you fools? Well, that's all this has been a long pod, so enjoy editing this one together, Mark. That's what the sound that Mark's going to make while he's editing. Just that held for like 2 hours.
That and
also simila oshuna. Sa shkomele mi. Sorry.
I don't want to be in that room while all that's happening. It sounds disgusting and abhorrent to my ears. Thanks for listening, everybody. We love you all. This has been Pushing Buttons Pod, episode 7. Peace out.
Peace. See you next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.